Have you read someone's social media post? It's nonverbal, no body language. However, from the post, you could feel a certain energy that the post brought to you. That's how I felt about Franco. At the time, he was going through his MBA program at OU. He worked for a professional sports team here in Oklahoma City. His career goes all the way back to Los Angeles, where he produced shows for the Los Angeles Lakers, for the LA Galaxy. Met Kobe Bryant, Steve Nash, just to name a few. Yet, he's so humble. But there's something about this man that I wanted to get to know more about. Because it wasn't just the TV shows that he's produced. I wanted to get to know about Franco. And so I had the opportunity about a year ago. By chance, I ran into him at a local dessert store. One conversation led to another. We became friends. He came over for a podcast. And it's going to be really interesting that do you really know Franco as well as you think you do? I recently came across a tweet from Franco. He says, I'm at this age where if you want me to be formal, I'm just going to wear a soccer polo. So, Franco, I don't know if you remember this polo, but this is the first gift you gave me when we first met. And I appreciate it so much that I actually wear it all the time, and I'm very proud. And I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of our friendship. Thank you so much. I wish you all the very best. I look forward to seeing you soon, brother. Love you, man. Welcome back to Defining Moments Podcast. My name is Wong Lam, and today's special guest is my great friend, Franco Sweet Yuan. Franco, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Everything good?
Yeah, man. Probably about a year and a half ago, you were going through your MBA program, right? And I started following you. At that time, you were working for the professional soccer team here in Oklahoma City. And I was intrigued about your path through this MBA program. And I found that you were very interesting and really actually fun to follow. And what I thought was really cool is you had stats on stats, soccer stats of international teams. And so I found that intriguing. I wanted to catch up with you. And finally, we caught up last summer by chance. And then now we become really good friends, and you're sitting in this chair, and I get to do a podcast with you, man.
I'm honored to be here, man. I think it was a good experience getting to know you.
Yeah.
Just because, I'm not really from here, but the fact that I get to meet people and then maintain that relationship, I think that's the most valuable thing about meeting people,
Yeah, absolutely. It's always about meeting people and forming really good relationships. Before we take a dive into your personal life, your professional life, how are you doing today, man?
I'm very good.
Yeah.
Very relaxed. I think for the longest time, as you say, with the MBA program and then working 2 different jobs at the time, to slow down a lot, it's a good thing because I think we always need a minute of break.
Mm-hmm.
Months of break, whatever it is, just to sit back and relax and understand that life is not always non-stop. At times we need to rest. The body will have reactions to you. So very glad, very happy, excited, but I'm okay. I'm good.
That's an interesting point. You talk about resetting and taking a break because we feel like this is a non-stop life, which to a certain extent it is nonstop. How do you relax yourself though? You have a lot of different things going.
I do, because even when I feel that I'm relaxed, my mind is probably thinking about what are other stuff I can do and stuff.
Right.
But I think that's not me. I think it's almost everybody that always tries to look into other new horizons in what they can do. I think the times that I got to sit back and relax a lot right now is playing with my daughter. Being able to have my daughter play with her neighbors or friends and stuff, and then watch them play. I think that's relaxing because it just allows your mind to just focus on that thing, and that thing might be not that significant to you, very significant to the person that you're watching to. But it's just like that allows you to cherish and enjoy the things that is in front of you. But I agree. I think everybody's always thinking about what are the things that they can do better, what are the things that they can do to progress, what are the things that they can do to bring more revenue for themselves and stuff. So it's a non-stop thing, but ultimately I think it's good to be able to reset a lot of times, because it allows you to look how far you become. Not to get cocky about it, but just how far you become, and then where's the next direction. Allows you to sit back and relax and look into what direction you're gonna head into.
You're getting ready to take off to go in the whole month of June. You're going to be reporting with, I think it's the Mexican national team.
Yes,
right.
Working in public relations with the Mexican national team. Actually, they had 2 friendlies leading to the Gold Cup. And it's going to be an interesting tournament, because for the first time it's going to be 16 teams and 4 groups. So that's huge for the confederation here in CONCACAF. But I'm excited just because I think it's another experience, and ultimately when I sit back and relax and reset, a couple of the things that I think about is, when I'm old enough, 80, 85 years old, and I'm about to pass away, what are the things that are going to be stuck with me? And I think in the end, you just memorize, aside from the people that made an impact in your life, is the experiences that you have. So, the times that I have been working in these type of tournaments has been amazing, just because from a background that I come, that I always love soccer, and be there and be able to presence that and see how everything works. I am taking mental pictures all the time and just storage them over here. It's amazing.
It sounds amazing, because what you actually do is you follow the Mexican national team, and for our listeners, we're talking about the sport of soccer, European football. And so I didn't preface that with all the listeners, but so you report with them, and then prior to coming to Oklahoma, you're in LA for a while, and you produced and directed for some shows for the Los Angeles Lakers of the NBA and the Los Angeles Galaxy of the MLS. How was that?
For a television career, there's a list of industries market that they're ranked, and they always have New York as number 1 and Los Angeles as number 2. But I think a lot of times why LA is number 2 is because they never consider the county of Orange County into that, because otherwise it will be much larger in terms of TV audience. But for me, when I went to school, one of the things they will tell you is, like, you're gonna start in a lower market and then make your way up to a larger market. And my dream was always, when I graduated from Cal State Fullerton in California, was to always move back to Los Angeles, just because my parents are there, and then also the fact that it was a big market. It was with the top 2 in the nation, and I was blessed enough to be able to have somebody recommend me to be back in LA and be there, put on the spot at 25. It was very challenging, just because normally a lot of people take a few more years, take a lot of more other markets. I just went from Oklahoma City, which is 46, the 46 market, and go over there, and then it was a lot of learning experience. And I think a lot of times I've been learning more when I'm bumping heads and shutting down fires and stuff like that, because I think it allows you to learn so much. So it was a great experience. Got to meet a lot of people. I think being a television producer or being a producer on radio and stuff like that, I think when they retire, or when the medium or the industry retires them, I think it builds a set of skills that not many people have, because you're constantly under pressure, under deadlines, and then the strategic side, planning, comes into place, and to be able to think in a snap of a second, and then think, okay, where are you going to be heading next, and what's the direction you're going to take, with the whole breaking news mentality. I think it's it's a great experience.
When you talk about bumping heads, are you talking about bumping heads with management or producers, other producers?
Well, a lot of times, athletes? Because like sports, I think entertainment, I'm pretty sure that it happens in a lot of industries, but you can see more of egos coming out, which is normal, because you're talking with personalities. Now even more with social media, you're talking about people with X amount of followers, people with this more amount of followers, these people with less amount of followers. Therefore, some people are more qualified to give an opinion because they have more followers, or some other people are not, and then in the end they feel that they know more than anybody else. So when you mention about why sometimes stats are so important, because stats are facts, and people, when they give opinion, exaggerate or undervalue a fact because of their opinions.
Right.
But when you have the facts, the numbers are there, and then they just tells you what it is.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times it's good to look at stats.
Yeah.
I think actually teams are doing more analyzing those facts, whether it's how many kilometers, miles they have run on a match and stuff like that, because or who they played the most to. A defensive midfield player, who does he play the ball more to, and then analyze, okay, maybe we should pressure here and then this point, because that way we know that the guy that receives the most balls from that person is going to be this person. So I think always having stats and stuff like that, it's important, and that's why you always want to go with the facts when you want to argue about something, because it's just you can refute them, you can argue them. They're there.
Yeah, the facts don't lie.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Soccer. Let's talk about soccer for
a
minute. We talk about stats and analytics. What's your favorite stat to keep in soccer?
I think there's a more and more, the one thing that it's interesting to me. It's, you look at each individual player, and then you get to see, like I said, how many balls they're playing, who they're playing to, the percentage of who they're playing. Like, if you have a player that always plays back, and then you see that the number one recipient of all the balls that he's playing from the defensive midfielders to a center back, the guy, just the ability for him to be able to turn around and then attack are going to be much less, because that the guy, as soon as he gets the ball, he's going to always play back. So I think those are the things that you start learning and understanding. I think it's so important, just because based on that, those are the things that you're able to analyze how maybe a team is going to behave. Now, I think one thing that will be very interesting to see, and when you take a master's program, a lot of times is they do this personality test. They see what type of leader you can be.
Right.
You're a results leader, you're a data leader. I'm a results leader, and results leader just expect the best out of the best. They want to see numbers and stuff. It will be interesting to see how is the personality for a full team, because not all the players are gonna be results oriented, and then be able to study how past champions, the core of the team, what were their personalities?
Yeah.
Because yes, abilities and stuff like that, but I think it will be interesting to see how also the personality side comes into play.
Yeah.
To be able to manage a group for a coach.
Yeah. For sure. I'm a big stats guy. I love data, so it's always fascinating to know how many miles or kilometers a players run, how many ball touches they have throughout the match, how many passes completed. So I'm all about that. Switching gears to the NBA, so you did some shows for the Lakers. What's been your favorite stat in the NBA to keep up with?
I wouldn't want to say the stat. I think the one thing that I learned about NBA, that everything that I think when I look into the stats, I look at also how it can be applicable to organizations. So, it's crazy, because in NBAs, when you're talking about free agents or the possibility of re-signing players, you have players that they have high averages or high scoring points and stuff like that per season. But you also take into consideration players that they have a lot of assists. You have take into consideration those that they have more steals, rebounds, blocks, and stuff. But how come that doesn't translate to organizational behaviors, where apparently only the people that they get their results, which is probably just the points, get all the best, promotions, get all the raises, but those that they provide assist, that does the rebound, that does the block, that's the steal, they don't get the same treatment. But in the NBA, you compensate them based on those numbers. But in organizations, only the ones that they score points are getting compensated, while the ones that they do the steals, assists, and all that stuff like that, they don't get as many praise as the guy that scores points. So it's just interesting to see that. I think those are the things that comes into your mind, and you think, oh, okay, you're in a sports that the players are analyzed by every single stat, and then by employees or not.
Right. In the NBA, when you were producing for the Lakers, what are some players that you got to interact with and talk to?
I think we were, of course, introduction of Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
That was cool because of what Linsanity was.
Yeah.
And especially for whether you're full Asian or you're like, you have some parents that they're full Asians and stuff like that, like myself, like yourself. It brings some sense of pride, because especially on sports that they're very dominated by, maybe an ethnicity, whether it's soccer, football, NBA, you get to see few Asian faces on the sports. And I think being able to see that and how much people were praising him, and then coming to the Lakers, which is a huge franchise, especially with a guy that was with 3 of the teams that had the most social engagement in China, which is Jeremy Lin played with the Warriors, played with the Rockets, and played with the Lakers. Those are the 3. So it's just interesting to see, how big he has become. I think not many people know the impact that he could have in China, but those are the 3 teams that has the most engagement rate in social media and their social media platforms across the whole NBA. It's just the Lakers, the Warriors, and the Rockets, and then the other 27 teams have very low. Those 3 teams are over here, and the rest is over here. And the fact that Germany has played for all 3 teams is pretty spectacular.
Wow. Okay, so there you go. That's why I enjoy talking to you. You're a stats guy. You know all these stats, man. So meeting
and then
Jeremy Lin,
that was good. Trust me, I have had my my issues over there, just because doing live television, there has to be, when I say challenges, I have messed up too. I'm not gonna say I haven't. We have a post-game show when Kobe Bryant torn his Achilles, that he just went ahead and did a post-game interview at the locker room, and I didn't take him live. I took a little bit, because knowing Kobe, especially at the moment when he's probably very frustrated about a season-ending injury, there's gonna be a cuss word that's gonna come out. And I sort of expected that it happened, but I was worried so much about that at the time I didn't think about the big picture, that everyone wanted to hear what Kobe had to say. So it took me, I think I took the interview live until 1 minute and a half late, 2 minutes late, and that was one of the mistakes I made, because it has some repercussions into why didn't we take it live. So I had to explain, but it's a learning experience. I mean, if it would have happened to me, I probably would never thought of that now. So I think I'm glad for that. But the other person that I also got to meet, I think very kind and stuff, is Steve Nash.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Guy just completely loves soccer. And then I didn't meet him through work. I actually went to lunch nearby the workplace, and he was just there. And then we were talking about how we were the channel that has the Lakers broadcast rights, and he's like, no, don't leave, stay with me. I want to chat with you guys. So that was interesting, and
that's
to
awesome.
be able to sit down with him and then chat a little bit, because it just puts you in perspective, more or less, is that a person with so much prominence, he's able to go ahead and sit down with you. And going back to organizational behavior, a lot of times you have hard times to be able to even sit down with superior. Doesn't make sense.
Wow, that's awesome. So Jeremy Lin, Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant. What about soccer? 2, 3 players that you got to sit down with, or interview, or listen to speak live in person.
Got to, I think one of them that was big, obviously, Leo Messi.
Wow.
That was a big one. It was a couple of years ago. I don't even recall, probably 10 years ago.
You're also fluent in Spanish. So it probably made it easy.
I think he got surprised that I was speaking Spanish and like an Argentine like him.
Wow.
So I think his brother was there too. And he's like, what? you're not only you speak Spanish, but you actually sound like us. So that was a cool thing. I think that was a good one. I think always listening to Landon Donovan was a good one, especially listening to him speaking Spanish, because I think early in the careers, maybe he was seen as a bad guy, or not so nice. But over the years, he has transitioned to be able to be very well spoken. Not that he wasn't before, but just very kind, receptive to media and stuff. So I think that, because I was an intern with the LA Galaxy, and then years later I worked as a producer for the Galaxy, and then to be able to see that, I did see the change, and I did see the fact that he spoke Spanish, and I think he understood the culture that was going surrounding him in Los Angeles, which is very Hispanic, and also they had the Anglo speaking individuals. So I think that those probably are it's good to see them, good to read them, because a lot of things that you look at them is like, okay, how can you apply things that you're looking right now that you can apply to you? So that was pretty nice.
You were born in Argentina,
born
correct?
in Argentina.
So is that where your Spanish is so brilliant?
I mean, that's Monday through Friday I had to go to Argentine school, and then Saturday forced me to go to Chinese school. I mean, man, you had to go back to Vietnamese school whatsoever, just so you don't lose,
So I can still speak and understand and read, right? I'm with you, man. That's fantastic. So as a reporter, producer, you're able to speak, obviously, English and Spanish and Chinese. That's really impressive, especially in the sports market, man.
It comes in handy, like, when you least expect it. And it has helped a lot, because it breaks. I think when you know more languages, when you know more everything, it allows you to break barriers with the other individual, and then interact. Because I'll just give you an example. Was that if it was a room full of whites, blacks, Latinos, and it's just me there, and then all of a sudden you walk in, at some point we're gonna do, like, Earth and the Sun, just surrounding each other, walking around each other, until we actually meet, like, how's it going? And but we do that because of looks. We want to we feel more comfortable with somebody that look like us. But I think the fact that if you're able to speak more languages allows you to break that barrier, and then interact more with people, and then understand the other human being too. So I think it's very important to be able to know more languages. I mean, I have a huge accent when I speak in English, but I'm proud of it. I'm very happy with it. But it has allowed me to open doors and meet with the other people as well.
Man, that's awesome, dude. Wow. So you went to LA and you directed, produced shows for those two really big franchises, and then you moved to Oklahoma. What challenges have you encountered with your transition from LA, the number 2 market, back to the number 46 market in Oklahoma?
When I moved, I went back to Tyler Media to work as a news director. I'll be honest with you. The first day I went back to the same office that I worked a couple of years ago, shut the door, and I started crying. And the reason why I did that is because I felt that I wasn't ready to come back yet to Oklahoma City. I came back because of my family, but I wasn't ready to come back yet to Oklahoma City. But I understood that I wanted to spend more time in LA. I wanted to be able to see where else I could have gotten, in Los Angeles. But sometimes things happen in ways that you just don't know why it happens. But a couple of months later, a lot of my colleagues in Los Angeles there was a huge turnover of employees. So luckily I wasn't there, but it allows me to think, wait, maybe this was meant to be, because I would have had to live under that. And I think to come back over here, a couple of the challenges that I see is that when you're in a market where everything is going 100 miles per hour, I think things in Oklahoma might go a little bit slower, and it's fine. It's just to be able to incorporate those elements that you learn on a 100 miles per hour environment to a 75 miles per hour environment, and then be able to give and receive, because I don't think that you're gonna be able to, uh, implement everything that you want.
Yeah.
And I also do think that I lacked some sort of leadership skills when I was over there. I mean, especially that coming down to um, making decisions. And there's a lot of reason why I took the MBA, because not only allows me to, learn more on the on how business can be run, on
Right.
what are other focuses, but I think also to be able to talk to your classmates that they are in positions they want to be, in a director position, and then see how they will behave, and then pick up some things about that, because in reality everybody tries to pick up of the best things from every single leader that they have had in their careers, and then they're like, you know what, this is how I'm going to be, this is the type of leader I'm going to be when I become a leader. And then you're picking the best thing that you have from your first job, the best that you have from the second job. And sometimes we do forget that there are some challenges, individuals that they're completely different that your first boss had to deal with, that you maybe had to change that mindset of, you know what, no, this is the way I'm going to be. No, look what you're gonna have to deal with, and then work around that, and then see how you can make the best out of it. So I think I'm not gonna come here and tell you that everything that I did has to be perfect, but I made it really lack some leadership skills.
We all have to go through setbacks and other events. So speaking of setbacks, now where maybe a defining moment or two that you've been through in your life that's kind of shaped you down a certain path or shaped yourself?
One, of course, when I was 17, almost 18 years old, moving from Argentina to the US, because my parents will tell you this: high school disaster because
in the United States,
in Argentina,
in Argentina.
High school disaster because just bad at school. I mean, we had like 12 subjects. First year fail 6 subjects, and the system in Argentina, when you fail the subject, you have to take a one test that comprises everything you learn in a year, and if you don't pass it in December, our school year is from February, March, all the way until late November. In December we had to take this test that comprises everything you learn on those months into one test, and if you don't pass it, you're allowed to take it on March of next year, the following year. But after you fail on March of that year, my school, the school I went to, they only allow you to fail one subject to June. If you fail 2 subjects on March, you had to get out of the school. And the first year I failed 6, and I only passed 3 of them in December, and I took 3 in March, and then I passed the first one, failed the second one. So the last one I was like, I really need to pass it. So I actually did pass it, but I think it just wasn't really focused on terms of school. And when I moved over here, your head starts doing conversions on the currency or how much that was paying for school, for instance. Plus we were paying out of state, international student and stuff like that.
Wow.
I start multiplying those numbers, like, wow, they're spending a lot of money, and I better do good. So I think that was a moment that ever since I can think of is just the whole idea of being able to do more. Not that I didn't have papers, but it wasn't easy for me to find jobs just because I didn't have social security with the type of visa that I have. And a lot of times I ask myself, now that I have social security, now that I'm okay, why don't I do the things that I would have done if I would have had it back then? So those are the things that that allows me to think and reach higher, just because when I did the master's and then while working 2 jobs, one part-time, one full-time. Why did I do that? Is because I do think that everything, to me, the fact that it's there, it's almost given to me. It's just me that had to go ahead and do it. And I think that was one big thing for me. And then the second thing that I learned, especially on late 20s and then early 30s, is that looking some people that they have some diseases. One of my soccer coaches for college passed away. He's actually a dad of a very good friend from my best man on my wedding. He passed away, and one of the things that makes me think is that a lot of times we focus so much about building bridges, because we don't want to burn any, because we always want to have all these contacts, we always want to have this network of people and stuff like that. And then as years go by, those people, not that they don't really matter, but you start focusing on the people that actually make sense, that you want to care, and you start saying no to people when you're in your early 20s. You start saying yes to everybody because you want to shut any doors. And another has come to my mind to say, you know what, at 30, do you want to still be the guy that always opens up doors? Probably not. And not because in a bad way, but because you want to be able to invest more time with those that they matter, those that they can, make something intangible to tangible, those that they can go ahead and give you, when I hear good news about that person, that can provide me with some happiness, not instead of jealousy or immediately ask you, oh, where did you get it at? Oh, can you get me in? Well, more or less, you know what, I'm genuinely happy about that, about you. And that's, I think, when relationships become from intangible to tangible, because it provides a feeling to you. It provides happiness. It provides some emotional reaction towards news that the person, whether it's good or bad. If, I'll be honest, I attended a funeral today. There's people that come by that when you hear the news and they passed away, you're like, oh, that's sad. But there's other people that they passed away, that's sad. You start feeling sad. It allows you to cry.
Yeah.
And those are the relationships, I think, that a lot of times you want to invest more, because those are the ones, not necessarily that they matter, but it's just that, that created something with you.
Yeah, that's interesting. And that's a very solid point. Well explained. Because I hear about the older you get, the more mature you obviously get. And I see all these people trying to build these connections the opposite way. They try to build all these bridges, and for them to cross, or for people to cross. And you're saying that, well, I'm building bridges still. However, I want to connect with my friends that are genuine, that are actually going to be there when I need them. Because not everyone will say, oh yeah, I'm with you. However, your true friends will send you a text, maybe a tweet, or make sure that you're okay every once in a while. I'm with you.
Yeah, and I think the problem is, a lot of times when you want to expand bridges, you a lot of times had to behave out of character, meaning you had to be a little bit different.
Right.
And it's gonna come down to a point that you just can't be out of character, because you ultimately had to be yourself. And sometimes being yourself doesn't translate to be receptive by everybody.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, because you had to behave out of character, sometimes it's hard to continue being like that. So you start becoming your true self, and then if people are, and it goes both ways,
Yeah.
It goes both ways, because a lot of bridges that you build with people, they tend to be one way street. They could be one-way streets.
Yeah.
In the end, the way I see some of the bridges that I want to build is like, it's a big avenue of emotions, relationships, conversation, mindful discussions.
Absolutely.
And those are the things. Not that the others don't matter, but by all means, go ahead and build as many bridges as you want when you're early 20s, because they're important for you to set your career. At 30, you still want to be a career, but you want to be a little more smarter about what do you want to be able to build. So I think that's very key, important.
Yeah. You want to track the energy that you give off, your surroundings. That makes a lot of sense, man. I want to touch back on your first defining moment. You talked about some subjects that you failed when you're 16 and 17. What are the subjects?
You're gonna laugh.
Okay.
I failed geography, not math. They call it. It will be Spanish, because right here they have English, but
okay,
it will be like language, just like history, music, PE. But because and the reason why I failed PE, not that I have any reason why I shouldn't have failed PE, but the high school only allow for PE in a very traditional soccer country.
Yeah.
That school didn't want to offer soccer as PE. They only offered two sports, volleyball and basketball. And it's fine, because the reason why is, I think, you need to create people that they have interests other than soccer. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the Ginobilis in the world.
That's fair. That's very
So
true.
so that's why they wanted to have that at the time. You think about it, like how many people play basketball and volleyball back then. Now it's important to have that. So feel that because I at first never played basketball in my life. I was being soccer all the time. So
yeah, was the transition hard? Because in Argentina, it's Spanish speaking, and over here it's obviously English.
Yes.
So was it tough for you as 17 years old to?
It was tough, and I always remember the janitor at the community college that I went, Pasadena City College. A janitor actually helped me to register for the school.
Wow.
My dad dropped me off, and he's like, "Oh, go register or something like that. You're the only one that speaks English in here a little bit." And they're like, "No, but you had to figure it out. Figure it out." I'm like, "Okay, I'll figure it out." And then the first Hispanic that is all like, "Listen, I don't speak any English. Can I go ahead and use your translating services to be able to do register for school?" Like, yeah, by all means. So I think that was a huge transition, for that. But
wow, the janitor helped you out, huh? That's awesome, man. You also talk about it was expensive, the transition to come to America. What sacrifice did your parents have to make for you to come to the United States and get this education?
I think the biggest sacrifice that my dad made is that I asked him just recently if he ever regretted, because sometimes I put myself into that situation whether I would have regretted or if I would have done it, is that he, let go of his whole career as a lawyer in Argentina to come to the U.S. to sell clothes.
Wow.
And that's one thing that I always, think about it, because now that I have a daughter, am I willing to let go of everything that I think of about the career that I want to have for the well-being? Everybody's going to tell you, yes, I will do it right away when a snap of a second. Why would you even think about it? But if you really think about it, if you had to go through that, it's hard, because human beings, yes, it's my daughter and stuff like that, but the type of guy I am, I think about where I want to get, especially with the whole migrating to here and then be able to conquer here,
Yeah.
It just, you start thinking about it, and the fact that my dad let everything go, a great opportunity, be the first lawyer that spoke Spanish in Argentina and Chinese and help the Chinese community over there.
Right.
He let go of a big thing, and I think that was a huge sacrifice.
Yeah.
And my mom, it's crazy how moms are, because my mom never finished university. She never went to university. She only finished high school. But in the end, I got a master's last year, but she still gives me the best advices that I could ever gotten.
Yeah.
Without having needed to go to school.
Yeah.
So I think it's crazy, because here you are thinking that you're the most educated person,
right, and
stuff like that, but parents just give you the one advice that no matter what education it is, but it's just life, So
yeah.
I think those are the huge sacrifices that they have made. My parents, as they left Taiwan. They didn't meet each other until they were in Bolivia. And then they moved to Argentina, and they moved to the U.S. So I think it has been a transition for them, where if you look at in the time of their lives, they have been a decade here, a decade there, and it's hard to build something or set something up in a country if you're just moving every 10 years.
Yeah.
So I think, a lot of the responsibility and a lot of the clicking moment when I moved over here was like, okay, they're making all these efforts. We already made it to the U.S. I had to be the best I can be, or at least try to do the best I can be, to be able to provide something for my parents, or at least make them proud of something in their lifetime. So,
wow, that's amazing, because you said from Taiwan, that's a different culture, to Bolivia is a different culture, to Argentina is a different culture, and then the United States. I mean, there's a huge culture swings, and yet I think you hit it on the head when you said your mom didn't graduate from university. However, she has given you the best advice, and it's beautiful, man. There's nothing like a mom's advice or dad's advice.
Yeah.
And the sacrifices that they had to go through, that they gave up to help you get to where you are today, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, completely.
Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. With your travel, and you're married, and you got this daughter, you're gonna be gone for a while. So when you wake up in the morning, what are some of your habits that you go through?
I do every morning. I wake up at 7 in the morning. Had to do some work for the university for OU.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I'm waking up my daughter and telling her, "Hey, time to get up, even though you don't like it." And then I cook breakfast with her, for her, and stuff like that. We try to have breakfast, chat a little bit about how the day is going to be and stuff like that, and take her to school. So, it becomes a routine, but it's a routine that I enjoy it a lot, because I think somebody's like, "Oh no, on the go run and stuff like that," and the fact that I can be able to invest time with her, chatting with her, and then see how much she has grown from one day to the other, it just it's beautiful, because you're just seeing something grow in front of your eyes, and how creative she is and how she can be, the little personality that comes with her. Those are the things that I cherish. And it also puts you back in perspective, because here we are trying to be the greatest that we can be, the most influential individual we can be on other people's lives and stuff like that. But in the end, my daughter looks at me as just that. Here we are thinking about trying to be director of this, VP of this, work on this, work on that, becoming this, becoming that. Changes on people's perspective, changes the type of conversation you're going to have, the length of the conversation you're going to have based on the title that you have. Because if you have a lower title, I'm just going to chat with you for a few, and then try to chat with the people that I have some sort of personal interest with, because they have in a higher position. But when I chat with my daughter, I'm just that. There's no such a thing as director of that, VP of that, dad that works in this. I'm just that. I'm just the person that just care about her, that takes care of her, that sits down in front of her, and we just discuss everything that we can. And I think those allows you to put back in perspective of what matters the most.
I love that, man. What are some questions that you wish people would ask you, but no one ever asks you?
The hard questions.
Or just what are some questions that
the hard questions.
The hard questions.
The hard questions, because I ask the hard questions. I don't think organizations that I work with, they ask hard questions enough to understand that maybe a negative moment could translate into a longevous impact that can be positive. And I think, I always ask the hard questions, because I think it sometimes comes from the fact that I always wanted to be a journalist. But you had to ask them, because if nobody in the room is going to be asking them, then there's nothing that puts you to be accountable of where you at, and what are the goals that you set for yourself.
What's a hard question you had to ask, let's say, your boss or a CEO?
I think, recently working at the professional sports team, a couple of things that I asked. I was like, it was in the middle of the World Cup, and in the middle of the World Cup, we were talking about, how to get more people onto the stadium.
Okay.
And it was in the middle of the World Cup, and one of the things I said is like, how come, some people are not watching games, or at least be aware to learn about the games that they're going on in the World Cup, because it allows you to establish a conversation with the person you want to call to sell the ticket. Meaning, Juan, you get to see the game between Spain and Portugal, where Cristiano Ronaldo scored a hat-trick.
It was an amazing game.
Yeah.
3-3.
You know what? We happen to play on Saturday too, man. I don't know if you want to come out and check it out. But, and then it was like, no, that's not important. That's the feedback that I got. The second question that I asked, I said the same thing, is that, that's one thing I saw clearly here in Oklahoma City, was that a lot of people, whether they're in the forefront of the business or they're on the director ownership side of it, they don't really take their time to invest into knowing the team that they own, the team that they work for. Easily, if you go ahead and ask you who are the starting 11 that repeated the most in 2018, if they can give you that number, they can give you those names and stuff, or at least 5 names, 6 names. Do they really care about the sports that they claim that they actually care or not?
Yeah.
Fair. It's a fair question.
Yeah.
If I ask you, I bet you, if you go to the basketball teams, from the front desk to the VP, they know probably what were the numbers of Russell Westbrook the night before. They probably know how many points he got, how many rebounds he got, how many assists he got. But why not in soccer? Yes, I completely understand. It's not the sport of choice by the people that work in there. But at least make an effort to understand it.
I'm with you. I feel like if you're going to sell a product, at least understand the product enough to have a conversation. It doesn't have to be in depth, but just light enough to let that person know, like, oh, hey, yeah, I did enjoy that Portugal and Spain game. Cristiano had a hat trick and it was tied 3-3. I think that's the game you're talking about. I don't know. Yeah. But that's what a game I remember when you talk about Spain and Portugal. So, see, I'm a stats guy too. But it's interesting, and I'll take that as when I was coaching boys competitive soccer, you had 18 boys, young men that you were in charge of. You had to be their mentor. And just going through each of them and trying to understand a little piece of them. Some like skateboarding, some like volleyball, some like football, or, just different sports, different things. And so if you understand a little piece about every one of them, it makes your job a lot easier. Now the parents, on the other hand, without a great team manager, I wouldn't have survived. So I had a great team manager. And then of course Margie, my wife now, but she was a great support. So yeah, understanding what you're selling, who you're selling it to, important things.
I think it allows you to have at least a good conversation, something that you really can talk about and develop. Because in the end, if you don't really invest into that, conversation is gonna end until a period, and that's it. You can get more of that, and it starts becoming a business. And then it's not really a conversation that has a goal to grow something, but it's more a business relationship. It's just more of a, here, give me this and I'll give you this. But if you're in a business where you always want to grow something, at least make the effort to grow something by you educating yourself into that sport, into whatever you're trying to work on.
Yeah, developing those personal relationships.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man, 100%. What are a couple things that people don't know about you, Franco?
Oof. I'm a very complicated guy, man. And I have been told I was confrontational. And, by all means, I am confrontational, but I'm not excusing myself about that. I think a lot of times when you're confrontational, cannot be read as, as passionate about something. And always the one thing that I told to people is like, if I wouldn't come out this way, being a little bit confrontational, and I would just be passive, then I'm just not caring about whatever you're talking about.
You're not being your true self, like you said earlier.
But if I'm confrontational, or yes, is there ways to say it better? By all means. But if you really listen to a message, what it means or where I'm coming from, you can understand that, that I actually care. And the reason why I say that is because I do care, and the other things is that, by complicated is because, maybe I should have just studied philosophy rather than just studying journalism, but because it just allows me to think, read, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think as I said, I think I had, when I had that defining moment in my life, I think that changed, that set me up good. I did 9 internships before graduating college.
Oh my goodness.
Because first of all, I wanted to be the best person that I can be, but at the same time, I needed to have a sponsorship on my visa.
Wow.
I think worked in so many places. Wrote stories for Fox in Spanish. I was a television reporter, worked for an MLS team, worked at different tournaments and stuff like that. Won an Emmy, was nominated for the national Emmys in sports, and those are the things. But again, it comes back to the Franco that that sent you text message, "Hey Juan, how's it going?"
Yeah.
Not the Franco that won an Emmy that did this.
Yeah.
The Franco that is, "Hey Dad, how was your day today?"
Yeah.
So it really comes down to that. So those are the things that in 20 years, 30 years doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Because in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, if I happen to pass away, you're not going to remember everything that I have accomplished on my personal career side. But you're going to remember the text messages that we send, the times that we joke about, the times that we have a good discussion. So those are the things that actually matter. And I think it's a transition in life. And, all this time that have been able to sit back and relax. One, because we talk a lot about when people stop reaching out and stuff like that. But sometimes those stops are good to have to see. I don't want to sound cheesy, to see who your truly friends are, but
I agree.
It opens up your perspective about who are the people that they actually reach out to you, because those are ultimately the people that continue reaching out. They never had an intention to do anything but just building a relationship with you.
Yeah. I remember when we first met, like I said, last year, and then obviously evolved into this friendship. And with this podcast, I was like, man, you got an amazing story. I'd love for you to come on. And now you're sitting here. It's a journey that I know we will continue with this friendship, because you're right. It's just text messages every once in a while. Say, hey, Franco, how are you doing, man? And get some fun. You're gonna come up to Chesapeake and have lunch. Those are fun times, man.
Yeah, we have. I mean, many times I feel bad for you because I'm like taking so much time away from you that you're gonna be like getting in trouble with your work.
Oh, man.
But those are really good things that we invest with each other into learning about each other, and then also growing and building the relationship. So those are the things that in the end that I care the most now. Because I do think that you're gonna have 150 contacts on your cell phone, but you still text the same 10 people that you always gonna text, right?
Yeah.
The other 140 are just there whenever something happens, but you just text the same 10 people all the time.
That's true, man. And speaking of texting people, who are 2 or 3 people without social media would you call and want to meet in person?
A lot of times I have my friend Greg, who the best man that I always talk to him, because he works at an insurance company, but he also is a operations manager for LAFC, the soccer team over there. And
the new one?
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of times when I talk to him, we discuss the issues that we see in the different states, or and where we want to see each other in life, and then we feed each other about what can we do better and stuff like that. And always the first thing is like caring about each other's well-being.
Yes.
And I think that's all the time. I learned to text a lot, I call a lot my parents, which is something that people think, oh, that's something that everybody should do. But I bet you that there's actually not many people that actually are thinking about their parents, especially when they live away, to call them, to text them, and then to see how they are.
Yeah.
And I think that relationship, that nucleus, because we came as a nucleus, mom, dad, sister, and myself. And you think about this, that we all came as a group together, and now we're all spread out in the US, and we don't get to see that much with each other time and with each other. And then every time that I get to see my parents, you start noticing things that maybe they don't notice. Oh, she has a little bit more white hair. My dad's a little bit skinnier, and those are the things that makes you think about they're getting old. And I think those are the things that we forget about, the impact that we can give to our parents by just simply letting them listen to our voices.
Yeah.
And I think that has been very important to have that relationship, because the way I see it is like we all migrated together, was all together, and now working obviously different paths and stuff like that. But I have a very close relationship with mom and dad, and
Yeah.
different personalities, both of them completely
I
different.
understand that.
That is really like that. Think about next mom, very nurturing, like all moms.
Yeah.
But just as I said, giving the best advices that she can give, and I want to say that those are the ones I always text and then keep in the mind. And then obviously I have a friend Jerry, just because I have a group of friends that we always keep in touch, and I is just happy to see those friends growing and succeeding, and then wanting to become better individuals. And it's always so nice to keep in touch with them.
Man, that's awesome, dude. That's powerful, because I can relate to that. I text and call my parents almost every day, and just see how they're doing. But they live right here, about a mile away, so I stop in and mow their yard and hang out for a little bit when I can. So.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, the ones, in the past, it's crazy, because when you're in your 20s, you just can't wait to stop talking to your parents so you can go to a club, so you can go to your friend's house to meet up and stuff like that. And now when I see my parents, I just don't want those conversations to ever be over anymore, because I feel like I'm just learning more and more, and the good times. So one of the habits, waking up early with them and stuff like that, because we start our day and start talking, and it just makes you feel good.
Yeah, man, that's for sure, dude. When was the last time you challenged yourself with doing something you'd never done before, and what was the outcome of that?
It's a lot of times, I think about me trying to work maybe outside of soccer, maybe outside of the entertainment, and I have put myself a time that when I want to stop doing that, and really apply my masters.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of challenges that I see right now that I always go back and forth is because, as every human being, you start becoming less risk averse. You actually become more risk averse. Sorry, you become more risk averse as you get older, because you just family and stuff like that. And I still do see that if I wanted to do something with entertainment, I still can do it now. I don't know if I will do it when I'm 40. And while the idea of working in entertainment, because it's been so long and stuff like that, is there, I'm willing to go ahead and try a few more times before I just call it quit and then focus on something else. And does it require not living in Oklahoma? Most likely. Does it require moving and you're gonna be fine with it? Probably yes. And I think that's that has been something that has been on the mind, and we'll see after the Gold Cup.
Yeah. So you obviously love the sport of soccer, football, if you will. What if the Thunder called you and said, "Hey, we actually want you to come work for us"?
I'm open to work in basketball too, just because as I say, Ginobili opened doors and opened minds to people in Argentina that made them to increase some interest over other sports. And I work with Juan Ignacio Sanchez, Pepe Sanchez. It's a basketball. He was the first Argentine, along with Ruben Wolkowski, to be playing in the NBA. Pepe Sanchez played for the 76ers, and Ruben Wolkowski, who played for what was the Thunder, played for the Seattle Supersonics. And Pepe Sanchez actually went to Temple, and I got to work with him because he was a television analyst for the Lakers in Spanish.
Wow.
And the fact that the preparation, the way that they're thinking, whether it's from the nutritional side or from the gaming side, it just makes you think about that it's fun. And I think it takes one person to be successful at something, to open up minds of others to actually care about something, because they just we never thought that could have happened, and then Ginobili made it happen.
Yeah. Wow. You talked about impact earlier. How does Franco make an impact? How does he contribute to society?
everybody would love to say that, you know, I want to impact the society in the best way possible and stuff like that. I don't know if I can ever impact a full society, but I can impact my closest circle of friends and stuff like that, and then it could create like a domino effect where everybody, you know, distributes disperse. The one thing that I try to be when I care about the relationship, when I meet people, is just genuinely care about you.
Yeah.
Genuinely tell you the things that they are, to things that you might not want to listen to. I'll just tell you because I don't have nothing. I mean, the only thing I can lose is your relationship, but do I want to lose the relationship with you in telling you things that you just want to listen way, or telling you the things that you might not want to listen, but me be completely black and white? And I think that's the one, like if you want to hear me out, then I'll tell you things how it is and stuff. And I think a lot of times we need a little bit of that because sugarcoating is a good thing. but I think the impact on people when you sugarcoat them, the growth, is much slower than when you actually tell somebody the things that their expectations, and then boom, change it right away and give them hardcore discussion.
Yeah. So your parents, was your mom or dad hardcore with you?
My dad.
Yeah.
My dad, because my dad challenged me to say, hey, I think it's time for you to get a master's. And the day he came, got the master's, and say, hey, congrats, Franco, you did well, and stuff like that. First thing is like, hey, when are you gonna get your PhD?
Yeah.
Challenging right away. What is the next step?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think that comes also with the culture that comes.
Yeah.
And I'm blessed. To be honest, a lot of times in the past, I'm like, man, what is it? Why is it? You know, Asian living in Argentina, and then you know, having to deal with this cultural clash.
Right.
I'm going to tell you this. By all means, it was a huge blessing to be able to have Asian parents adapted to the Western culture, to be able to speak Chinese, Spanish, and English. Best thing that ever happened to my life,
awesome.
because it allowed me to meet people, learn about people, interact with, just have that easiness to, you know, meet people.
Right. If you were to turn back the clock, what advice would you give your younger self?
Risk, and the reason why I did that is that you know, when I left, when I graduated from college, there was two options. One was to stay in Los Angeles working on a large television channel as a production assistant, and the other one was to move to Chicago to work in a soccer team. Mind you, I actually studied journalism, so what would have made sense was to be able to work on television, because that would have been. But I still decided to go to Chicago, and it was so hard to leave my parents behind driving. You know, over there. And I think when I risked that, I just made me think about importance of my parents. That everything that has come to me wasn't easy. That, you know, being solo made you appreciate the things that you thought that you always had, because you know that it took nothing for your parents to get, when it really took a lot of sweat for them to get. So I think the one thing I'll tell myself, and I'll do it all over again, is to risk and to move, to live. You know, I would like I do think that people in Oklahoma, I think sometimes it would be great for them to be able to experience living outside a different city, even outside the U.S., and then, you know, live there for a couple of years, come back here, because I think all those experiences that you can bring allows the city to grow. You know,
Good point.
You're from a homogeneous society to a heterogeneous society, where you can bring a lot of cultural influences, things to do differently.
Right.
So I think, you know, live out, you know, move on, live, risk it, go live somewhere else. Doesn't matter, because those are the things that help you, and it put a lot of things in perspective.
Yeah, it's almost like correlation could be like sports. going from a big market to a smaller market, how the culture you understood there, how you can help implement it here and make this culture grow, whether it's soccer or basketball, different cultures, but we're all growing because of your experience that you potentially could bring to a club or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, man, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your path forward from this point on?
The short term is just finishing Gold Cup and stuff, but the long term, right now I'm really discussing to maybe move away from Oklahoma. Not that saying it's time, but it's already the second time that I live here in Oklahoma. I think it'll be also good for my daughter to be able to experience a little bit of a different city, how it is carried, maybe where there's more diversity, and be able to speak a different language all the time and stuff. I think, and I want her to be able to see some different things, in life, because I lived in Argentina and I moved here and allowed me to see so many things, but it's sort of one of the things that once you live in the US, there's not really much that you want to move because you're in the perfect place.
Yeah.
I mean, US is a great country, if not probably the best country. And, I got to experience living in Argentina a lot, move over here. So I live in Chicago, live in Los Angeles, live in Oklahoma City. First state that I went from Argentina was Florida, Fort Lauderdale. So I want to have my daughter, if we can move outside of the US, which most likely won't, but the whole idea is to move outside Oklahoma just for my daughter to be able to experience a little bit of that. I think it will be very, very impactful for her to change a little bit. Yeah.
I love it, man. The growth mindset. Yeah. How do you want to be remembered?
That's a very good question. The one that always was there to serve others by genuinely being him, by giving you an advice, by giving you his time to help you move something. Those are the things that matters, to be quite fair, the success that I get from working this, working that, and stuff like that, those are the things that I get to keep. And you won't remember because you won't know unless I told you about it, or unless you saw it on something like that. But what I want you to be remembered is just the way that I treated you the first time that I got to meet you. And it's not gonna be everybody. I'm not gonna be able to please everybody, and I totally understand that because I also get to pick who I want to be able to please, who I want to. I don't want to be a people pleaser all the time. I want to help. I want to be the best guy for everybody. But the one few connections that I have, I just want to be able to be the one person that was always available for them. That when you texted that person, I can come back to you 24 hours later saying, "Hey, what's up?" But I show you that there was some sort of urgency because I really care about how I could have served you, how I could have helped you.
Well, I believe that for sure, man, for sure. But how do we get in touch with you? How do our listeners get in touch with Franco? Not your cell number.
No, I enjoy Twitter a lot, so I do the @Franco Sy, I guess Franco SY. I do a lot of that, and then Instagram is @FrancoSui, FrancoSui.
Okay, very good, man. Well, Franco, do you approve this podcast?
By all means, man. Great podcast.
Thanks, man. My name is Wong Lan, and before I approve this podcast, Franco, I know you speak 3 different languages, so I'm going to have you say, my name is Franco, and I approve this podcast in 3 different languages.
Hola, soy Franco. La verdad que es un placer estar acá con mi amigo Juan. 大家好，我的名字是水明的，我真的有一个很好的时间跟我的朋友黄。
Very good. My name is Wong Lan, and I'll say this in English, and I approve this podcast. Franco, thank you so much, brother.
Thank you. Have a good